Hi guys, so today we're doing 4.2 graphing parabolas. So if you look, we have our parent function right here. That's y equals x squared. That's how all parabola functions are going to start. Then we have a table right here that we're going to be filling out, and we have a picture of a parabola. Remember that parabola is the U shape. So we're going to start by making a table and plugging in numbers for x. So we have a table right here, and they already gave us x values to plug in. So we're going to take those x values and we're going to plug them in for this x to get our y. So if I plugged in -2 squared, I get 4, so my first value is 4. If I plug in -1 squared, I get 1, so my second value is 1. My middle term 0, 0 is already there for me. And then I already know that 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. If you didn't know that, all you have to do is plug it into your calculator. If you notice, my first and last term are the same, and then my second term and my fourth term are the same. And then this middle term right here, 0, 0, that's going to be my vertex. And that middle term is always going to be your vertex. So if you go and graph this, I have -2, 4, which is right here, -1, 1, 0, 0, which is my vertex, 1, 1, and 2, 4. So that's going to make my U shape. I think we've talked about that parabolas make a U shape. And then if you notice, these terms line up to make that U. So they're just, see how this one's 1 away from the middle line, that one's 2 away from the middle line, they line up. Alright, let's get into some examples. So there are a couple different forms for quadratic functions. We need to make sure that we're looking for the form that we have. So one form, the form that we're looking at for example 1, looks like this. We have a times x minus h squared plus k. So we want to remember we need to look to see what form you have. So the first thing that they want to know is what our vertex is. Remember, your vertex is the opposite of h, and then k stays the same. So if the h in here is a +3, my vertex is going to be a -3. And then my k, the +9, is going to stay the same. So my vertex is -3, 9. My axis of symmetry is always the x value of my vertex. So when I write axis of symmetry, I always have to start with x equals, because it is a line. And then the x value of my vertex is -3. So my axis of symmetry is x equals -3. Step 3 would be to make a table. So we have a table down here that we're going to go from. If you didn't have a table ready for you, you would make one. It wants to know what direction it's going in. So you can tell what direction it's going in by the number that's in front of the parentheses. So since there is a negative in front of the parentheses, that means my parabola is going down. And since it's going down, it's going to have a maximum value because the vertex is going to be the highest point. And then the value is going to be at 9. That's the y value of my vertex. So what we want to do is we're going to start by putting the vertex in this box that's kind of bolded. We always put it in the middle. So my vertex is -3, 9. Now I want to pick x values that are close to the vertex. Then, after we do that, we're just going to use the table function in the calculator. And I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so we're going to do 2 below -3 and 2 above -3. So 2 below would be -4 and -5. 2 above a 2 and -1. So up here, I'm going to write what my function is. So it's negative x plus 3 squared plus 9. So what I'm doing is I'm plugging in this x value for x. So the work would look like this. And I'm going to do this for all of these first, and then I'm going to show you how to plug it into the table function so that you guys don't have to do all this work. Okay, so that's what all the work would look like, but let's figure out what these numbers are in the calculator so we don't have to do all of that work ourselves. So you're going to take your calculator and you're going to press table, and now to our function, this right here. So we have negative parenthesis x plus 3 close parenthesis squared plus 9. So we want to start with our vertex. You don't have to, but that way we don't have to go searching. So on our start value, I'm going to put -3. Then I'm going to press enter a bunch of times, and that's what will show up. So at -3 we have 9. That's great. We know that our vertex is right. At -2 we have 8. At -1 we have 5. And we're going to go up. At -4 we have 8. And at -5 we have 5. And we know that this is right because our first term and our last term match, and then our second term and our fourth term match. So that's how we know we did it right. Now we're going to graph. So when you graph, the first thing I would do is graph your vertex. So we have -3, 9, which is right here. Then I'm going to graph my axis, so I'm going to make a dotted line going down the axis of symmetry. And now I'm just going to plot these points. So I have -4, 8. -3, 9 is right here. I have -5, 5. Oh, that was -2, 8. Sorry. Oops. Miss Mason did this wrong. You know she always does, so don't pay attention to that one. That one's here. And then so this one is that's -4, 8. That's -2, 8. -5, 5 is here, and -1, 5 is here. I'm so sorry, guys. I messed that up. Or we brought it back together. Don't worry. So here is my parabola. I already tried to make these notes once, so I really don't want to do it again, but don't pay attention to that point. Make sure yours looks like this. You know, I always mess up. We all make mistakes. That's what I tell myself. Alright, back page. We are going to do one more. So this one is a different kind of function. Looks like y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So remember, we need to look to see what kind we have. So, first thing we need to do is find our vertex. In order to find our vertex, we need to use this formula. X equals the opposite of b over 2a. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use these numbers and identify my a, b, and c. So my a is the number in front of x squared. If there's nothing there, that means it's a 1. So my a is 1. My b is the number in front of x. So my b is -2. And then my c is that very last number. So c equals 5. So in order to plug in numbers for the opposite of b over 2a, I need to know what my a, b, and c are. So I'm going to use those numbers to plug that in. So I have -2. That's my b over 2, and my a is 1. So now I'm just going to plug that into the calculator. So I have a -2. We're going to do, let's press n over b first. So -2 over 2 times 1. I get 1. So my x value of my vertex is 1. Now I'm going to plug 1 in for x into my function to find my y. So I have y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 5. Now I'm going to plug this into my calculator to find my y value. So I have 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 5. I get 4. So my y equals 4. My vertex is 1, 4. Now that was my hardest part. The rest of these are easy to figure out. So my axis of symmetry is always the x value of my vertex. It starts with x equals, and then I use my x value. So x equals 1. Then I would make my table. The table we have is already given to us. Now I need to decide what's going in. That first number is positive. So my direction is going up. It would look like this, with my vertex right there. Since it's going up, that means I have a minimum value because my vertex is all the way at the bottom of the graph. And then my minimum value is the y value of my vertex. So my y value is 4. Now I'm going to start on my table. So my vertex is right here, and I know my vertex is 1, 4. Now I'm going to pick my other two numbers, so I'll use 0